It has been said that the single greatest cause for atheism today is Christians who acknowledge Jesus with their lips, but not with their lifestyle. And I do believe that there's some wisdom in that, and that there is some truth in that. And when we don't walk what we proclaim, we definitely give people an excuse. But I would think that there is something else that is of equal, if not greater, cause for people to reject not only God, but even the very idea of God. And what it really basically boils down to is a misunderstanding of sovereignty. Because it's what C.S. Lewis called the problem of pain. I would add fear. But anyone who's been really afraid for very long knows that fear hurts. So that's part of pain. The problem of pain. It boils down to something like this. If God is all-powerful, and he lets people hate each other. He lets people mistreat each other. He lets me get hurt the way I've been hurt. That's what it really pulls down to, however you word it. If God's all-powerful and he let me get my feelings hurt, or my body hurt, or whatever, or he lets all these tragedies happen around the world, people take advantage of each other, then he can't be good. And if he's good and this stuff happens, then he must not have any power to stop it, because I'm only halfway decent, but if I could have stopped this from happening, I would have. And it's a misunderstanding. Well, something horrible happens. It was God's plan. Someone dies tragically in a horrible circumstance or situation, and you may not even know if they were a believer or not. Well, that was all part of God's plan. No, it wasn't. I think about dance battles. I know it's kind of weird, and maybe nobody else can relate to it, but they've had them since tap dancing only days until right now with modern dance. You have dance battles, and somebody will come out and they'll bust some moves, and somebody's watching, and then they do some of what that person did with some of that rhythm, but then add to it and add flourishes and everything, and they just kind of take your idea and do something greater with it. And you're gonna, and then somebody else will try and somebody else will try. But every time, no matter what dance moves, whatever they do with the better dancer incorporates and then does greater with that same rhythm, so that it almost just looks like nothing that person who competes with them can do can stump the better dancer, but also like they were just setting them up. You were just giving me the rhythm I'm going to use. You were just giving me the basic foundation that I was going to do something great with. It's not that the better dancer is controlling the feet of his opponent or her opponent. It's simply that no matter what they do, the one who has the better understanding, the one that has the better flow, the one that has the better talent, the one who has more power, can take what they did and just incorporate it into a masterpiece that it never could have been. Another way of looking at it is the chess game, where no matter what you do, if you're playing a chess master, you're playing right into their hands. They don't have to control your every thought. They don't have to control every move you make, because no matter what you do, they're going to come out ahead. You just can't do it. God gave us free will. It is paramount and essential to us having a relationship with Him. There is no love without the ability to reject love. There's no relationship without a choice to enter into that relationship. But He is so awesome and so glorious and so, for lack of a better word, God, that no matter what choice we make of our own free will, He's already adjusted the board so that His purposes, the checkmate, the final knocking down of the king of death and destruction and evil and everything else is done. And the final blow was paid on Calvary. Well, wait a minute. Why is there still so much evil? Because He is patient. If He had come back at, the day of Pentecost, a few thousand would have been saved. You and I would never have had a relationship with God. He wants as many as can come, who will come, to come. And so He will tarry and He will wait. But it doesn't mean He's not in control, and being in control doesn't mean He's puppet mastering evil. When I choose to do something that brings destruction into my life or someone else's life, that is not part of God's plan. That was not God's plan for their life. It was not God's plan for my life. It was not God's will. There is no evil in Him. But He can still use the broken, fallow ground of our wreckage to grow something good, to grow something that lasts, to grow something eternal, to grow something that brings healing and restoration and life and glory. But it's not that He didn't do anything. The battle was won. We all have a disease. We're born with a spiritual disease that causes death 100% of the time. Nobody's getting out of here alive. But in order for our spirit to live past this fleshly casing it's wrapped up in, we need a blood transfusion. We need the blood of Christ. And this is a God who loves us as we are, not as we should be, but loves us enough not to leave us as we are, who loves us so much that He wrapped Himself in our brokenness, did what we were always supposed to do and couldn't, gave Himself willingly, and gave all the blood that was needed for every single person who wants to live to say, yes, I want that. That's love. That's enough. Well, wait a minute, I don't like that route. I want to take a different road. If God really was good and love, He would just let us make up our own mind. If you cut your arm off and you are bleeding out and somebody puts a tourniquet on it and a doctor walks up to you and goes, I can sew that so that you can live. Nobody here goes, another option? Maybe I'll take a couple of aspirin. No, that's a blood thinner. You're just going to bleed out faster. No, we don't care if there's only one option if it saves our life and works. You only need one. He didn't have to make a way at all, but he did. And he gave himself to make that way out of love for us. So yes, with all the hatred and tension and craziness and confusion and fear and pain and trauma in the world, there is still hope. There is still light. And death and destruction and pain and suffering will be completely eradicated. And God is being patient so that you can come into the deepest relationship with him possible. Not because you're good enough, but because Jesus died on the cross for you. And for me. So yes, he's in control. But not like a puppet master. But like the strategy master who just simply can't be beat. Do whatever you want evil, you cannot win. Because the battle's already been won. The battle has already been won. He is good. He made a way. He gave his life so you could have life. And he is powerful. He's powerful enough to destroy death and sin and suffering and pain forever. And he will put a final end to it because he does finish what he starts. But he wants you to have relationship with him right this moment. So he let the evil remnants hang around for a little while so that people can see a need for him and have relationship with him. He didn't cause it. He doesn't do it. But he is the cure. He did fix it. He did win. So when you hear the Spirit say, come, then come. Because you can boldly come to the throne room of grace and wrap your arms in your heavenly daddy's neck and feel him embrace you back. Say, I love you. You are mine. I died to redeem you. I died for every broken, hurting one. And that's all of us.